Straight ahead at 10, the suspect in the 11-year-old Houston girl's death is charged with capital murder. How to keep your child safe from predators.
Disconnecting students from cell phones during school hours. See why an Oklahoma legislator wants to put the idea to the test.
And high winds threaten to fan the flames of a grass fire. Oklahoma firefighters staying ahead of it. News 12 at 10 starts now.
Live from 12 Studios, this is News 12 at 10.
Welcome to News 12 at 10. I'm Brenda Teal.
I'm Jeff Elias. Off strong winds and no rain. A hazardous mixture for grass fires. Johnston and Pontotoc County firefighters combined to keep a fire in Mill Creek from spreading. 8 different fire departments, along with Oklahoma Forestry, responded to the fire between Connorville and Mill Creek. Flames spread across more than 100 acres. The high winds made it difficult to access this fire. Johnston County Emergency Management Director Jason Bryant says the expected wind shift tomorrow could make the fire spread.
So yeah, the winds are going to be gusting about 25 miles an hour tomorrow, and with that blowing embers, it could spread easily across a roadway, a creek.
Local fire crews focused on getting the fire lines under control tonight to prevent any spreading. Tomorrow, teams are also keeping a close eye on nearby structures.
We heard him say that we could see the wind shift tomorrow. Let's turn our eyes now to our chief meteorologist, Steve Lenore, for more.
Got a cold front coming, so this gusty southerly wind, I'm talking 30, maybe 40 mile per hour wind overnight. We can hear it kind of whistling through the wires here at the station. Well, that'll shift to a north wind, not quite as strong, but still very gusty on Thursday. So we've got a weather aware overnight tonight and through Thursday for these gusty winds. Please, I think this is kind of a no-brainer, but I need to say it just to be safe. Please avoid outdoor burning, outdoor welding, anything like that in the next 24 hours that might provide an ignition source outdoors. Now, the highest gusts will be overnight tonight. And please, both hands on the wheel, okay? Especially on east-west roadways, tremendous crosswind out there tonight, and that'll be the case tomorrow as well. Now, right now, winds are gusting about 30 miles per hour. We have noticed a slow but steady increase in the wind gust here since 7 p.m. and we expected that. Temperature-wise, it's still about the same now as it was at sunset, right around 68 degrees. Now, overnight temperatures may fall as low as 60. I think that might be on the low end of probability. It's just so windy and warm out there with that strong southerly wind, not cooling much tonight. Now, again, a front comes through tomorrow, and we'll have a little bit of a lowering of temperature with that. We'll talk about how much it'll cool off a bit later.
All right, thank you. We've been talking about these warm temperatures. 19 of the last 21 days have been warmer than average, but we're still not out of the woods for a threat of a freeze. We may still experience a frost or freeze as late as the beginning of March, but experts don't believe it will be any harm to any plants, so just be prepared, though, just in case you need to cover them at night.
Oh, you're going to get some full growth between now and call it maybe Memorial Day. Be patient with them. Just give them some time as they get acclimated to their new home in your landscape.
And with the warm winter, they also advise to watch your plants for pesky bugs because insects could start coming out as well.
Well, new tonight, a simple conversation about safety with your children could prevent them from being in a dangerous situation.
It's important that they learn about safety from home, from you. News 12's Talia Munson has more about how to have these talks with your children.
Say no, walk away, and tell an adult you trust. Establishing a safety rule like this may prevent your kid from being in an unsafe situation.
Teaching children to recognize and tell someone early on when somebody does something like that is very, very important.
Summer Jr. is the Development and Outreach Coordinator at the Grayson County Children's Advocacy Center. She says it's important to have conversations about safety regularly with your child.
The best weapon of defense we have against those perpetrators is education, and that's education of our children and education of the adults that are around them.
The Child Crime Prevention and Safety Center reports that every 40 seconds, a child goes missing or is abducted in the United States. On Tuesday, an 11-year-old Texas girl was found murdered. Though it may be uncomfortable to discuss,
Kids often have a gut feeling when something just doesn't feel right, or when somebody might be trying to take advantage of them, whether that's a stranger or a peer.
Junior says a safety rule could make all the difference in those 40 seconds.
What goes into child abuse is a very intentional process, and perpetrators will often test the waters with children.
Teaching kids to recognize danger. In Sherman, Talia Munson, News 12.
And tonight, the suspect in the death of that 11-year-old Texas girl is charged with capital murder. The Polk County District Attorney alleges Don McDougal murdered Audrey Cunningham and threw her body in the Trinity River. Audrey was last seen Thursday. State police say she never made it onto the school bus that day. McDougal admits leaving the house with her that morning the last time she was seen.
Would have made it to the bus stop, which is relatively just a little under a mile in the same community, real close.
Did anyone see her at that bus
No.
stop?
Court documents show McDougal was convicted in 2010 of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon and sentenced to 4 years in prison. McDougal had also been convicted of enticing a child 3 years before.
Charges filed today against a Tishomingo police officer who was arrested last week by state agents. Court records show Brandon Ledoux is charged with lewd molestation and showing obscene material to a minor. Court documents show the abuse happened over a 4-month span when the child was 10 years old. The city of Tishomingo fired Ledoux after his arrest by OSBI.
Tonight, we know the name of the man who led Denison police on a high-speed chase yesterday that ended at the edge of Lake Texoma. Travis Carroll of Randolph had an active warrant from Collin County for bond forfeiture and drug charges. He's being held tonight in the Grayson County Jail on additional charges of evading, deadly conduct, and drug possession.
New at 10, a bill aiming to take cell phones out of public school classrooms is making its way through the Oklahoma legislature. News
12's Garrett Stringfellow spoke with the lawmaker who authored the bill about the changes he hopes to see.
This seemed like a pretty simple change that could really have a dramatic positive impact for our students.
Oklahoma Representative Chad Caldwell, author of House Bill 3913.
It's a one-year pilot that encourages 9 schools to establish a phone-free program at their school.
The bill would provide schools with grant money for their own system of keeping cell phones out of the classroom.
We wanted to give them the ability to try and find the solution that maybe makes the most sense for this school and their community.
And after the year is up,
we would then kind of track that and look at the information after the end of that school year to see what the impact is.
While some believe the removal of cell phones would also remove distractions.
Well, I am certainly old enough to remember a time that every kid didn't have a cell phone, and everybody seemed to get along just fine.
Some wonder about the wisdom of taking phones away should an emergency arise.
I think the best thing is going to try and limit the distractions, be able to make sure that they are able to completely focus on the adult in the front of the room who is able to give them instructions and they can know what exactly to do to keep them safest.
The exact protocol in emergencies will be left up to the individual schools. Caldwell says that they're still at the beginning of the process, but he feels good about getting across the finish line.
I'm pretty confident that we can find a solution that really makes this most sense for our schools, but really also for our students and their parents as well.
Reporting, Garrett Stringfellow, News 12.
And speaking of that, Oklahoma's primary is just 2 weeks away. Early voting for the March 5th presidential preferential primary election begins next Thursday. Now, unlike Texas, Oklahoma has closed primary elections, meaning you must vote in your registered party's primary. Independent voters are allowed to vote in the Democratic, but not the Republican primary in Oklahoma. To find when and where to vote early, go to ok.gov/elections and click on the OK Voter portal. Oklahoma's primary elections are June 18th.
Oklahomans could soon save on grocery costs. Senate Pro Tem Greg Treat announced today that the Senate will put the grocery tax cut up for a vote on the floor tomorrow. If passed, this would get rid of the state portion of the grocery tax, saving Oklahomans an average of about $400 a year. If passed, this could go into effect this summer.
Still ahead, a ruling by the Alabama Supreme Court forces some fertility clinics to close.
Today marked another warmer than average day in Texoma. How is your weekend shaping up? Steve has your Futurecast. You're watching News 12 at 10 on a windy Wednesday night in February. We're so glad you're with us this evening.